Here with Aaron Zeigler, President and CEO of Zeigler Auto Group, to talk about leadership.
I think leadership starts with creating a world-class culture. And a big part of having a world-class culture is trust in each other. And I think trust is the most important part of any relationship that you're going to have. The only way to have trust is to have impeccable integrity. So it starts with world-class culture, having trust in each other. And a leader has got to have great vision, and they got to get the team to buy into their vision and what they want to accomplish. And ultimately, it has to become a shared vision with the team, between the leader and the team. And the team ultimately has to be as passionate about the vision as the leader is. I believe to be an effective leader, you've got to have confidence and communicate effectively with your team. You got to let them know what the expectations are, and you got to set the tone for what's going to happen. There's an old saying that says you don't need to like your leader, you just need to respect them. I don't buy into that. I think that that's a manager. That's what I would call that. If you respect your manager, you don't really like them. But to be a true leader, I believe as a leader, you must love your team, and they've got to love you as well. Now, that doesn't mean that you're always going to agree. A leader's job is to listen to the team and make the best decision that he can, not always the most popular decision. You certainly can't run a company by popular vote. That's kind of what the government does. And that gets you to the lowest common denominator when you do things by popular vote. But the communication must be open and honest. You've got to say, exactly what you're thinking. They've got to tell you what they're thinking as well. However, I do believe that a leader must empower his team. Nobody wants to be micromanaged. So once you give guidance as a leader to the team, you got to let the team run with those ideas. I think a great leader knows his team better than anybody else. You know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, what the team's passionate about, them on a personal level. You really know what makes them tick. I believe as a leader of a team, you're here to service the team. I call that servant leadership. The team is not there to service the leader. It's the other way around. The leader must be a teacher. Can't be somebody that is barking out orders. There's the analogy that fish for a man, he'll eat for a day. Teach him to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. There's a lot of truth to that. So as a leader, we must constantly be teaching others, and also learning from others. So one moment you can be the teacher, and the next moment you can be the student. I think a leader's job is also to take roadblocks and challenges and make those big roadblocks, turn them into small speed bumps, and then turn those speed bumps into opportunities. And you got to look for opportunities anytime there's a challenge out there to be a really strong leader. And, ultimately, I don't think you need a title to be a leader. I think everybody can be a leader. You respect the leader, not the title.
Aaron, you talk about serving as part of a leader. How much time does a good leader spend developing and growing the people that he works with around, or he or she works with?
Yeah, the development is a huge piece, because nobody can accomplish anything by themselves. It takes an entire team of people working together. And the only way that the team is going to get stronger is if the leader develops them and teaches them and shows them new things. It's the only way that they're going to get stronger. And ultimately, as the team gets stronger and learns more, it makes the leader look better.
Yeah. You use two words. You talk about trust, a culture of trust, and then you talk about impeccable integrity, both important in a relationship as a leader. What do you mean by impeccable integrity?
Well, as a leader, sometimes you've got to deliver good news. Sometimes you got to deliver bad news. The most important thing is you deliver it accurate, so that everybody's on the same page. So it's the only way that you can have a true trusting relationship, is to tell somebody exactly what's on your mind, exactly what you are thinking, and give them accurate information.
You also talk about vision. It's something at the Zeigler Auto Group we believe in. You've always been a great example of someone that drives vision. You communicate that effectively to a leader that's starting the path of creating, developing, and driving that vision. Do you have any tips on how do you create that vision and get buy-in? You talk about those who are led need to buy off into a vision and almost own it for themselves. A leader does.
Well, I think there's two problems in today's world is that people don't think big enough and they aren't aggressive enough. So I think when you're coming up with a vision, you got to have a big vision out there. You know, Jim Craig always says, if your dreams don't scare you, they aren't big enough. And that's true.
Yeah.
Your dreams should scare you. Yeah. Your vision should scare you. You know, it's you don't want to do something that, you know, put out a small vision, you know, you're going to hit it. That's no fun.
Yeah.
You want to put out something really big, something that's epic and go after it and get a whole team of people moving towards it. That's what changes the world.
Being able to take key components that you're responsible for as a leader and turn those over to others and have them have ownership has always been something you've taught me and us. You've taught about not being the guy that has to worry as a leader about how the cars are parked every day because you trust someone else. Talk to us about that component of leadership. That's something you do well is it's not even, I don't even, what's the word? It's not
delegation.
Is it? Okay.
Delegation is the word.
Teach me that. Yeah.
So, you know, as a leader, if you try to do everything yourself, you're never going to be able to grow. Your team's never going to be able to grow. So if you think about us as an organization, if we sell 60,000 cars, I can't sell 60,000 cars. You can't either. It takes an entire team of people being able to do that. So the only way that you can grow as a organization, grow as a team, is to delegate and then teach and let other people try things. And they're going to make mistakes along the way, and that's okay. I say, hey, it's okay to fail. Just fail fast. And that's how you learn going forward. But you have to be a strong delegator and allow other people to be able to take on things that you did. And the larger your role gets, the more you've got to delegate. Otherwise, you'll never be able to grow.
As a leader, we all have to be able to take correction because we're always accountable to someone else. You're accountable to the marketplace, the economy. We're accountable to you in a certain sense. Talk to us about the humility it takes to be a leader and take that correction when we believe we're headed down the right path and someone else every now and again has to swoop down and say, hey, you know what? You need to alter course a little bit. What does that look like as a leader taking that correction? Yeah,
you got to self-reflect. And you as a leader, you got to be humble enough to go, you know what, I screwed that up. You know, everybody screws things up. Nobody's perfect. If, you know, somebody tries to portray that they're perfect, that's a really weak leader. And like I said, you know, it's okay to fail, just fail fast. But you constantly got to be looking inward. You got to be looking at yourself going, hey, is this the most best decision? Is this the most effective decision? And hey, if you make a mistake, change it. Don't, you know, die on the sword. You know, correct the mistake that you made. And you can let people know. I tell people all the time, hey, I screwed that up. No big deal. And we move on.
Final component, curiosity. You always talk about curiosity and how important it is to leadership and growth and development, something we've talked about today. What's your thoughts and philosophy on curiosity and how it helps me as a leader grow?
Well, if you're curious, that means you're asking questions. And when you ask questions, it's a sign of strength. Think back to when you're in school. A lot of times people are too shy to ask questions, or they think the teacher will think you're dumb if you ask questions, or the other kids will. It's the exact opposite way that it is in the real world. Is you want to be curious. You want to ask questions because that's how you learn about different things. And when you're curious and all of a sudden you ask one question and then they give an answer and you get another question. And then your whole knowledge on that subject goes to a whole nother level. And that's what really makes people strong information. Information is power. And the more information you have, the better decisions that you can make as a leader.
So it's interesting. Success is great. And success can teach us great lessons. It can also teach us bad lessons. What is the role of entitlement in killing future success?
Yeah, and entitlement can kill a lot of things. As soon as you think that the world owes you something, you're going in a wrong direction. I tell my kids all the time, life's not fair. Get used to it. The world does not owe you anything. You don't deserve anything. You get what you ultimately earn. And I think at different times, people think that they're owed something. Whether it be, job or pay or whatever else out there. And as soon as you start thinking like, hey, I'm owed this, boy, that's a dangerous road to walk down. And it's not a good ending. I can promise you that. You gotta you got to be appreciative for what you got, and you got to be appreciative for what you've earned. And I think entitlement's a really, really bad word. And I think that there is unfortunately a lot of entitled people in this world, and none of them are successful.
Society pushes it for some reason, but the free market absolutely penalizes it, like it crushes it. And it shows up in a lot of different ways in the auto industry. What are some of the ways that strike you as most disturbing in the auto industry? I mean, hours worked. Some people say, hey, I've been around so long, I can take an 8-hour day in a business where longer hours are typically the norm. What are some other ways that you see?
Yeah, I mean, it can be anything, Sam. But as soon as you think that people start owing you things, or you deserve something, when you kind of start using those words and have that kind of mindset, you're not going to be successful going forward, because then you start making excuses as to why things aren't happening, and it's kind of everybody else's fault but your own. So that comes back to self-reflection. The great thing about attitude, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up, and tell you what, if somebody asks you, do you want to be around a positive person or a negative person?
Yeah.
Give me the positive person all day long. We can do some great things together.
Yeah.
So attitude goes a long way.
So Aaron, it's interesting. How do you know as a leader when you've been successful developing others? We all have a responsibility to do it. How do you know success?
Well, I think when you have somebody that can replace yourself, quite frankly, because the only way you can move up in an organization is to have somebody ready to go to take your position. And then I think the second thing is, if you take yourself out of the team and their performance keeps right on going, you've done your job, because you've developed that team to take responsibility and to accomplish goals. And they don't, I don't want to say they don't need you anymore, but things keep right on going without you. And that's how you move up in an organization.
You make an interesting point, though. What do you say to the leader that says, I don't want to train somebody to make it so that they don't need me, right? There can be a certain amount of insecurity behind, I'm going to train somebody to take my job away and they won't need me anymore.
Yeah, right. And if you take that attitude, then you're never going to move up. And then the team's not going to want to work for you. They're going to want to work for somebody else.
Yeah.
That's going to help them move forward. So you want to help people move up, and that's how you move up as well.
And isn't it the truth of leadership that no matter where you go, there's always more to do? And if you develop the skills it takes to get to a certain point, there's always going to be a point farther, right?
Yeah, there's no finish line. This is a journey, and the fun part of this thing is going through that journey. And you just keep moving up and making things bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's what makes life interesting and fun.
Aaron, when you think about your goals for this company and the continued growth, what is the biggest obstacle to our future growth?
We will be able to grow at the rate that we're able to develop people to take on bigger roles in the organization. That's how we built the company, is bringing people up internally at whatever role they come in the organization, and allowing them to grow with us. And we'll continue to do that. And people internally, they know our culture. They know how we do things. We know them. We know each other intimately well. And that's how we're going to be able to grow. So our ability to develop that future generation of leaders will determine our level of success moving forward.
What would you say to someone who says, hey, leadership and development, that's Mike Van Ryn and his team's job. I'll pick up the phone and call him if I need help, but other than that, we're good.
Yeah, so it's a big part of their job in our development program, but it's everybody's job in the organization to help to develop those coming, because it takes a lot more than just one person to develop people. It takes a lot of leaders out there to develop the team going forward.
And Aaron, just as an aside, as we finish, Mike Conley came up to me after he received the Legacy Award Saturday night at the year-end holiday party. Super grateful for getting that award. A little bit surprised at having gotten it. The one comment he made to me is he said, receiving that recognition, realizing the impact I've had on the lives of other people, it makes me want to double my efforts. It makes me want to step up my game and do even better. Recognition does that, Aaron, whether it's no matter what level, right?
Yeah, a lot of times you don't know what you mean to the team, because you don't always tell other people. And I think all of us are like that. And when you get something like like Mike did with the Legacy tribute, where people write out what you mean to them, and it's like having a eulogy without being dead, which is great.
Which is good, because you still have something to do about it.
Yeah, you'd much rather hear it when you're alive.
Yeah.
But those are really powerful moments in a life. And it shows you what you're doing, that you're having an impact on others, and that you're making a difference.
Aaron Zeigler, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Sam.